Thank you, Cearla, and thank you, Minister. And I've raised the need for a proper ambulance base for Carlow before several times, and I know COVID has been difficult for everyone. And I have asked Minister Donnelly down to Carlow, and I'm also asking you, Minister, to Carlow, to meet the staff and to see the conditions that they're in. Now, I was fortunate enough there in the summer, actually, Minister Jack Chambers was in Carlow, so he visited the base. But I also had a virtual meeting with An Taoiseach there recently to highlight just how serious the situation is. Now, I'll give you a little bit of the background, Minister. The HSE, my understanding, is that they are committed to a parcel of land which is called Kelvin Grove for the National Ambulance Services to get a Design 2 ambulance base. But the money is not committed, and I'm looking today for an update on that. Minister, I am committed to resolving what is a very serious issue in Carlow, and I have worn a pat to the Taoiseach's door and, of course, to the Minister's door, as I will do with you too. So it is important that we keep communication and that we get an update on the serious issue here. And I think it's important to, to recognise these paramedics that are doing a great job in Carlow. And the base itself, Minister, is in a prefab. And it's part of a building which was a delivery unit in St Dipna's Hospital. Now, there's no training facilities there, and their store is beside an adjacent methadone clinic. The staff are professionals, and they deserve to be treated as professionals. Look, I myself, Minister, feel that if it was a private facility, it actually would be shut down today. So I'm just asking you, I just want to know, I do know that there is some legacy issues there, that this has been going on a few years, but we did see in the budget where there was an extra 10 million, and yet there seems to be a slowness on capital projects. Because the site is HSE land, and I believe it should be moved quicker on. Now, originally, Minister, when I brought this up, it's a few years ago now, the talk was from the different departments that the St Dipna's, where the prefab is now, where the the paramedics use as their base, was actually, there was going to be an extension onto a building. Now, we have a beautiful building there, and it's all stone. It's St Dipna's Hospital, it's called. We always call it that, but there was to be a build-on there. And then in the last maybe few years, that we got word that it had changed, that they were actually going to get a new base on the Kelvin Grove site, which is right across the road, by the way, Minister. So it's very well situated if they do and give a full commitment to know that it is going to be a new base on the Kelvin Grove site, because there has been the huge issues of confusion of will it be a build on the site they're on or will it be Kelvin Grove. And I think it's important today, Minister, that we get that decided. The other issue is that where it is so well situated in the centre of town, you'd often pass and there'd be ambulances outside, and yet when you ring for an ambulance you actually can't get one because the ambulance paramedics themselves have been maybe moved to a different part of the country, because, as you know, the system has changed, and I'll bring that up in my next slot. So, Minister, there's huge issues here. I feel the lack of communication with the department, and even to myself and to the ambulance paramedics and for the people of Carlow, that we need to have a base that is fit for purpose. And you know what? Our ambulance paramedics deserve a proper ambulance base, and it's only right now that we get that funding and we get a new base. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I want to thank you, Deputy Murnane-O'Connor, for raising the issue of the replacement of the current ambulance base, which is located at the Carlow Health Services Complex, St Dipna's Hospital in Carlow Town. The National Ambulance Service is a statutory pre-hospital emergency and intermediate care provider for the state, and it seeks to serve the needs of patients and the public as part of an integrated health system through provision of high-quality, safe and patient-centred services. Carlow Ambulance Base is an integral part of the ambulance service and has 2 emergency ambulances on duty at any one time. The base is supported by National Ambulance Services resources from surrounding ambulance stations, including Baltonslas, Athy, Kilkenny, Portlaoise and Enniscorthy. Dynamic deployment of available resources operates on an area and national basis rather than a county or geographical boundary basis to ensure optimum resource use, as the nearest appropriate resource is mobilised to location of the incident. The priority of dynamic deployment is patient health and welfare in the context of service delivery, which means that resources cannot be confined by county boundaries, barriers our borders. The National Ambulance Service operates a comprehensive safety management system across all of its premises across the South and continues to work collaboratively with staff and HSE estates and external providers to ensure that any concerns or issues that occur are dealt with as quickly as possible. Given the work entailed and the timeline to move from identification and assessment of a suitable alternative site to completion of works and building handover, remedial and refurbishment works at the existing station have been carried out to address shortcomings in relation to health and safety requirements. Remedial works to the value of approximately 50,000 were carried out at Carlow Ambulance Base in 2020. These works addressed requirements to ensure the ambulance base was a safe place of work and included a list of maintenance type work to doors, walls, floor covering and minor leaks with full certification of electrical and fire safety systems. In 2021, the National Ambulance Service completed a detailed prioritisation assessment for all ambulance stations across the country. The NAS is working with the HSE in planning a future replacement for the current facility. HSE have identified Kelvin Grove as a possible suitable site and are currently procuring a design team for another project on the Kelvin Grove site. The design team will prepare a development control plan for the site to include 2 other facilities, including proposed ambulance base. And when this site appraisal is completed, the HSE will be in a position to develop a capital submission for a new ambulance base. Capital funding for the project will be determined in accordance with the overall prioritisation planning for all ambulance stations that require replacement or major refurbishment or expansion. And I want to thank Deputy Murnane-O'Connor for raising this issue, and indeed you've been very to the forefront of raising the ambulance service in your region, and I look forward to trying to get you a satisfactory reply.
And I have to say I'm so disappointed with your reply now, and I'm really disappointed. And just going back to the ambulance services, I mean, the people of Carlow have had delays in their ambulance services because, as you know, all ambulance calls now are managed through the Central National Emergency Operations Centre, which is supposed to ensure that the most urgent calls get the highest priority response, regardless of the location of the ambulance vehicles or bases. So I think that's a problem. And in Carlow, we don't have an ER support because our local hospital is Kilkenny, and we don't have a fit-for-purpose building. And now, again, I think there is issues within the ambulance services. I think we need more ambulance. I think if we had the 2 that were there, based there, that they're not actually leaving the county. But I have to say, when I got your reply, there's absolutely no commitment in this, Minister, none whatsoever, that they are looking at a site in Kelvin Grove, that it's possible it could happen, but that's unacceptable. I mean, this is going on for years, and we have an ambulance paramedics in Carlow that are in a prefab in 2022. I'm absolutely raging, Minister, is all I can say, and I believe that this needs to be sorted, and sorted as urgently as possible. My understanding is as well that there is a list being done on ambulance bases, seemingly 1 to 10. That's what I'm being told. Again, I'm told Carlow is 2 on the list, but that's not good enough. And Minister, I would ask you today now to go back to Minister Stephen Donnelly, as I will be going back to the Taoiseach. I want a firm commitment from the National Ambulance Service that we are going to get and the HSE and of course and the Minister, that we are going to get the build in Kelvin Grove. And there is another building going on Kelvin Grove, is right, and that's at design stage at the moment, that's my understanding. But we need to get this building, and it's unacceptable that in 2022 we have the best of ambulance paramedics in Carlow and they're in a building, a prefab building. It's just unacceptable. I'm so disappointed again, Minister, with your answer.
Minister, to conclude.
Thank you. And then I want to thank you, Deputy Murnane-O'Connor, for raising the issue of the provision of the ambulance base located in Carlow Town. And as you know, a significant programme of work is underway to transform the National Ambulance Service from an emergency medical service into a mobile medical service. And as I said, this is a model which aims to treat patients at the lowest appropriate level of acuity, resulting in a better experience for the patient and more efficient use of resources. And Carlow Ambulance Base is an integral part of the ambulance service, and Carlow has a maximum of 2 emergency ambulances on duty at any time on a 24/7 period. And again, they are supported by National Ambulance Services resources from surrounding ambulance stations, including Baltinglass, Athy, Kilkenny, Portlaoise, Enniscorthy. And you're right, the National Ambulance Service is completing a detailed prioritisation assessment for all ambulance stations. National Ambulance Service are currently working with the HSE estates in planning a future replacement for the current facility in Carlow. And estates is continuing, and engagement is continuing between the National Ambulance Service and HSE estates in progressing the assessment of options and then preparation of a capital submission for a replacement base. And as I said, capital funding for the project will follow in accordance with overall prioritisation planning. And Deputy Murnane-O'Connor, I will bring your concerns to Minister Donnelly. And again, I want to thank you for raising this very important issue on topical issues today.